I was halfway through a roofing estimate when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost sent it to voicemail, but something in my gut said, pick up. Hello. Hi. Is this Cameron Martin? The guy's voice was low, scratchy. Yeah. Who's this? This is Frank. I'm with DeMarco's Pawn and Gold over in Glendale. I believe I have something that belongs to you. I squinted at the phone, already annoyed. What is it? A Rolex Submariner, stainless black face. Inscription on the back says, to Cam, love always, Dad. My stomach dropped. I spun around in my chair and yanked open the bottom drawer of my desk. That's where I kept it. Always safe during work hours. I'd wrapped it in a microfiber cloth, tucked behind some invoices. Gone. My chest burned. My hands were shaking. I forced myself to speak. Where'd you get it? A young guy came in yesterday afternoon. Said it was his. I already knew. Tanner. Frank kept going. This really isn't something I want to explain over the phone. I think you should come down here. I didn't ask for directions. I just grabbed my keys and walked out. The guys in the office called something after me, but I didn't hear it. That watch was the only damn thing my dad left me when he died 3 years ago. No real estate, no life insurance, just the watch he wore every day of his life. I remember the last time he had it on. He was down to 140 pounds, face sunken, skin gray from chemo, but his eyes were sharp, clear. He took the watch off, hand trembling, and pressed it into my palm. This is yours, Cam, he said. Don't let anyone take it from you. I should have kept it at home. I should have put it in a safe. I should have known Tanner would pull some crap like this eventually. Quick note before we keep going, share which city or country you're watching from. Tanner was my mom's golden boy, her second husband's son. She married Gary when I was 23. Tanner moved in 2 months later. I didn't even bother unpacking. I just got out. Now he'd crossed the line. I floored it all the way to Glendale. Didn't even remember putting my seatbelt on. Just gripped the wheel and pictured his smug little face handing my father's watch to some pawn shop like it was his to sell. He thought he could take what wasn't his. He was about to learn different. DeMarco's was wedged between a payday loan place and a busted vape shop in a half-dead strip mall off Glendale Avenue. The windows were covered in metal bars, the sign half-lit. I pulled up fast, slammed the truck into park, and marched in without even shutting the door all the way. Inside, it smelled like dust and old coins. A glass counter ran the length of the shop, loaded with scratched watches, gold chains, and knockoff designer crap. Behind it stood Frank, thick neck, tan skin, arms like he still moved crates for fun. You, Cam? He asked, voice like gravel. Yeah. He nodded once, looked me dead in the eye. You look like your old man. Same jaw. My throat tightened. I didn't respond. Frank reached under the counter and came back up with a box. I knew it before he even opened it. Blue leather, faded edges, gold trim, worn thin. He popped the latch and lifted the lid. There it was. My dad's Rolex. Black dial, stainless case, the bezel nicked at 2 o'clock. He'd done that working on a kitchen remodel in Flagstaff. Still had the inscription on the back. To Cam, love always. Dad. I clenched my jaw. Who brought it in? He hesitated. Kid said his name was Tanner. Tall, blonde, early 20s, maybe. Claimed it was his dad's. Left to him. My fists curled at my sides. Frank watched me. But he didn't look like you, and he sure didn't act like someone who earned a Rolex. Didn't even know how to pronounce Submariner. That's when I started looking. I raised an eyebrow. Looking? He reached under the counter again and came back up with an old paper folder. Your dad ever mentioned pawning this watch before? I shook my head. Never. Well, he did. Brought it in 16 years ago. Right around the time you'd be starting trade school. Took a loan out for $3,500. Paid it off in 29 days. Cash. That stopped me cold. Frank handed over the photocopy of the ticket. My dad's name clear as day. Same serial number signed at the bottom in his tight block letters. Guy paid on time. No haggling. No stories, Frank said. I remember him. Quiet but proud. That watch meant something. I stared at it. He never said a word. Frank didn't push. Just set the box on the counter in front of me. This belongs to you. No question. I reached out, heart thumping, and lifted the watch. The weight of it hit me in the chest. I turned it over in my hands, ran my thumb over the inscription like it could bring him back. Then Frank cleared his throat. Found something else. Never seen this before, but I've worked with enough old watches to know what's weird. He turned the watch in his hands and pressed his pinky fingernail into a groove behind the clasp. A tiny latch popped open. I blinked. Inside, folded tight in a space barely big enough to hold a breath, was a scrap of yellowed paper. He slid it out with tweezers, set it on the counter like it was made of glass. My hands were sweating as I unfolded it. The handwriting punched me in the gut. My dad's sharp, slanted, all caps. Cam, if you're reading this, go to safe deposit box 313 at Union First. Keys in my socket set behind the 5/8s. I swallowed hard. Frank gave me a second, then said, no offense, but your old man was the kind of guy who planned ahead. Most people hide weed in their watch. Yours hid instructions. I snorted despite myself. You good? Frank asked. Yeah, I said, pocketing the note and slipping the watch onto my wrist. Yeah, I'm good. He nodded. Kick that punk's ass for me. I turned to leave. Hey, Frank called after me. That guy, Tanner, he looked nervous. Real nervous. I don't think he thought he'd get caught. I pushed open the door. The heat hit me in the face. Oh, he's caught, I said. He just doesn't know it yet. I didn't go back to work. I drove straight to my mom's place in Sun City, fingers tapping the steering wheel the whole damn way. The Rolex was back on my wrist, right where it belonged. Her garage was open when I pulled in. I could see Gary's ridiculous golf cart half blocking the walkway. I walked into the kitchen without knocking. They were sitting at the table, mid-morning coffee in hand. The table littered with bank statements, open envelopes, and a legal pad with Tanner's name scribbled across the top in red pen. Perfect. I stepped up and dropped the Rolex on the table with a solid thunk. Lose something? My mom's eyes locked on the watch like it had fangs. Gary leaned back in his chair like I just tossed a live grenade in his lap. Where'd you get that? He asked too fast. It was reported stolen this morning, I said, voice low. Funny thing, pawn shop called me. Said a guy named Tanner sold it yesterday. Gary opened his mouth, then closed it. My mom looked like she'd been slapped. Cam, she started, it's not what you think. I leaned over the table, both hands flat on the wood. You pawned it for Tanner, for his dumbass app idea. She flinched. He needed help. Just a little seed money. That watch is the only thing Dad left me, I snapped. You knew that. You knew what it meant. Tanner's trying to build something, she shouted. He has vision. He's not stuck installing gutters and fixing drywall his whole life. I laughed, bitter. Oh, so because I don't play pretend CEO, I don't count. Gary jumped in. You've always been small time, Cam. Good guy, but no ambition. Tanner's different. Different. I grabbed the watch, held it up. He stole from me. You backed it. My mom stood. You have no idea what it's like watching one son stay stuck while the other reaches for more. You mean watching one work his ass off while the other drains everyone around him? She glared at me. You never aimed higher. You settled. Tanner dreams big and you funded his fantasy with $9,000 that wasn't yours, I said. I want it back. Every damn penny. Gary scoffed. We already invested it. You can't prove a thing. I pulled the folded police report from my back pocket and tossed it on top of their statements. Yeah, I can. Neither of them said a word. The shop kept the sale record, security footage, description, serial number, my name engraved on the back. It's all in there. I'm giving you a chance, I said. You wire me the money, I won't press charges. Mom looked up, her eyes rimmed red. Cam, don't do this. You'll ruin everything. He's so close to launching. I shook my head. He already launched right into felony theft. Gary pushed his chair back, arms crossed. Go ahead, call the cops. You think they'll care about a family squabble over a used watch? I stared him down. I already filed the report. The silence stretched. I slipped the Rolex back onto my wrist, turned, and walked toward the front door. Cam, my mom called, voice cracking. You'd really throw away your family over this? I paused in the doorway, hand on the knob. You did that for me. And I walked out. Didn't slam the door. Didn't yell. I didn't need to. They knew exactly what they did. I didn't go home. I drove straight to my dad's old place. The house was a rental now, but the shed in the backyard was still locked up tight. I still had the key. The grass was dead and patchy, just like it was when he lived there. Same broken stepping stones, same crooked fence post I kept saying I'd fix. I unlocked the shed and stepped inside. The smell hit me first. Motor oil, sawdust, rust. And under a blue tarp in the corner, right where it had always been, was Dad's rolling toolbox. Red Craftsman, 3 drawers, heavy as hell. I flipped back the tarp and popped the top. His tools were right where he left them. Ratchet set on the left, sockets lined up tight. I ran my finger down the row until I hit the 5/8s. Pulled it. There it was, taped up behind it, just like he wrote. A small brass key wrapped in wax paper, edges curled with age. Same key he used to clip to his belt loop. I used to mess with it all the time when I was a kid. Never once knew what it unlocked. I took it and closed the box. Didn't waste time. Drove straight downtown to Union First. An old brick building with green shutters tucked behind a strip of law offices and a breakfast joint. Inside, the lobby looked like it hadn't changed since the 80s. Wood paneling, fake plants, old magazines stacked crooked on the table. A woman in her 60s sat behind the counter, silver hair pulled into a tight bun. She looked up as I approached. Can I help you? I'm looking to access safe deposit box 313. It was under my dad's name. Russ Martin. I have the key. I held it up. She squinted, then stood. Russ Martin, she asked, voice softening. Yeah, I remember him. Always came in early. Polite. Wore those work boots like they were dress shoes. I smiled. That's him. She nodded. One moment. 10 minutes later, I was standing in a private room with her and a narrow metal box on the table. She stepped out to give me privacy. My hands shook as I slid the key in, turned it. Inside was a manila envelope, a dusty black ledger, and a small sealed envelope with CAM written in thick Sharpie. I picked up the letter first. The paper was stiff, the kind that had been sitting too long in dry air. I broke the seal and unfolded it. His handwriting hit me like a freight train. Cam, if you're reading this, I guess I'm gone. But if this found its way to you, then you did what I hoped you would. Kept the watch safe and stayed true to yourself. The envelope holds bearer bonds, over 100,000 in value. No names, no banks, no taxes. You can cash them when you're ready. No one knows they exist but me. And now you. The ledger holds invoices. Jobs I finished but never got paid for. Some of those bastards ran off while I was in chemo. I didn't have the energy to chase them. This isn't just about money. It's about time. Time to leave if you need to. Time to build your own thing. Time to breathe without someone always taking a piece of you. You don't owe anyone your future, son. Not me, not your mom, not the family. Just do one thing. Make it yours. Dad. I sat there a long minute holding the page like it was made of gold. Then I reached for the envelope. Inside were the bonds, crisp and clean, the kind you don't just stumble across unless someone really knew what they were doing. My throat tightened again. I flipped open the ledger. Every page filled in neat block letters, job names, dates, materials, final totals, some crossed out with paid, some marked owed, and one name I hadn't seen in years, right at the top of the unpaid list. Reynolds and Bloom Construction, flooring job, $18,500. My jaw clenched. Dad hadn't just left me some money, he left me a paper trail, and I was about to follow it. I took the ledger home that night and laid it out on my kitchen table. I had to clear off a stack of receipts and an unopened box of drill bits just to make space. Every page was tight with notes, materials, measurements, job site addresses, names. Some I recognized from when I'd helped him over summers. Some were total blanks. He wrote everything down like it mattered because it did. I flipped page after page until one name slammed the brakes on everything. Reynolds and Bloom Construction. It was scrolled at the top of a full job breakdown. Flooring install for a commercial remodel in Mesa just 6 months before he was diagnosed. $18,500 due, highlighted twice, circled, underlined, then written in all caps at the bottom. No pay, no call back. I grabbed my phone and searched the company. They were still running. Same logo, same name, same 2 partners listed on the website, Reynolds and Bloom. I clicked through their gallery of finished jobs and high-end remodels. Their latest post said they'd expanded into Scottsdale luxury properties. Figures. I took photos of every page connected to their job. The estimate, the final invoice, material receipts, even the scratch sheet where Dad calculated labor costs. His handwriting made my chest ache. The next morning, I got up early and drove across town to meet with a lawyer my buddy Mitch had recommended a while back, Carla Martin. Her office was nothing fancy, 2nd floor above a car insurance place. But the second I walked in, I knew she didn't waste time. She came out wearing jeans and a navy blazer, hair up, no-nonsense eyes that sized me up before I even said hello. "You're the guy with the contractor ledger?" she asked. I nodded and held up the folder. We sat down at a side table in her office, no desk between us. She motioned for the book and I handed it over. She flipped through page 1, then 2, then 5, her mouth pulled into a crooked smile. "Tell me you have photos of this." "I do." "You scan it yet?" "Not yet." She nodded. "Do it today. Keep the originals safe. This is gold." She turned back a page and pointed. "Look at this. Full invoice, signatures, job details, material breakdown. You'd be amazed how many guys just hand me a text and a receipt and expect to sue. This is airtight." She landed on the Reynolds and Bloom section. Her eyes narrowed. 1850 unpaid. Dated, signed, no cancellations, no dispute letters. They thought the debt died with your dad. I leaned in. But it didn't. She looked up. Nope. Not even close. So, what's next? We get the bonds liquid first. I've got a contact who can handle that. Quiet and fast. No probate. No waiting around. And the invoices. Give me 60 days. I raised a brow. That's all? They won't see me coming. Most of these companies bank on guys like your dad not fighting back. But you're the heir. Legal next of kin. If the estate wasn't formally closed, we've got standing. And if the work's documented, we've got leverage. She closed the book and slid it back to me. They're still active, right? Just checked. Doing big jobs now. Flashy remodels. She grinned. Even better. That means they've got assets and they won't want a lien showing up in a client search. I let out a slow breath. He really kept everything. Your dad was smart, she said. Most guys in his position didn't think they could afford to be. She stood and walked to a filing cabinet, pulled a folder out, and handed it to me. Sign the top page. I'll file the demand letters by Friday. I signed without a second thought. As I headed out, she called after me. Cam, yeah. You ever think about going after the others in that book? I shrugged. One at a time. Good, she said, because you've got a hell of a head start. I walked out into the sun, the folder under my arm, feeling like I just picked up the hammer my dad used to swing, and finally knew where to hit. I pulled into Mom's driveway around 7 the next morning. The sun hadn't burned off the haze yet. My truck bed was already half full, tools, boxes of clothes, that old crockpot she gave me 5 birthdays ago. I wasn't planning on saying anything. Just grab the last of my stuff and go. Of course, she was waiting. She stood in the doorway with her arms crossed. That fake calm look she always used when she wanted to act like she wasn't furious. You really doing this? She asked. I didn't answer. Just walked past her and into the guest room I'd been sleeping in for the last 6 months. The closet was already half empty. I grabbed the last duffel, yanked the dresser drawer out, dumped the contents into a tote. When I came back out, she was still there. This is about the watch, she said, blocking the door like she had any right. You're throwing away your family over a piece of metal. I brushed past her. It wasn't just a watch, Mom. You know that. Gary was at the kitchen table, same spot he always sat, pretending to read the paper. Didn't look at me, didn't speak, just sat there like a big dumb statue in cargo shorts. I loaded the last tote into the truck bed and slammed the tailgate shut. That's when I heard it, his voice. Tanner. He came strolling around the side of the house like he just happened to show up, grinning like we were all good. Hey man, Mom said you were moving out. That's wild. I didn't say anything. He leaned against the side of my truck like it was his. So, look, I know things got tense, but once the app launches, I'm going to make it right. Seriously, you'll be glad you were part of it. I stared at him. I want the $9,000 back with interest. He laughed. Yeah, when I make it big, sure. I'll Venmo you from my penthouse. I stepped closer. I already reported the theft. Your name's on file. The grin slid off his face. What? You pawned stolen property. The shop gave me everything. Footage, receipt, ID. It's all attached to the police report. His mouth opened, but nothing came out. Behind me, Mom rushed down the steps. Cam, please don't do this. Don't ruin his life over a mistake. I turned on her. He had no problem screwing up mine. You both watched him do it. You helped. She looked like I'd slapped her. We're your family. No, I said, you made your choice. Now I'm making mine. I walked around the truck, yanked open the driver's side door. Gary finally stood up. You think your father would be proud of this? Walking away from your family? I didn't even look back. He'd be proud. I finally stood the hell up. I climbed in, started the engine, and pulled out of the driveway without another word. They didn't follow, didn't wave, didn't apologize, just stood there watching me leave like they couldn't believe I'd finally stopped letting them walk all over me. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel guilty about it. I drove straight from their house to the bank. Carla had already lined everything up, 2 signatures, 3 forms, and a short meeting with some guy in a tucked-in golf shirt. And just like that, Dad's bonds cashed out. $119,000, clean, untaxed, all mine, all. I sat in my truck afterward, door open, sun beating down on my arm, just staring at the number on the receipt. He'd planned all of this, tucked it away for me like he knew I'd need a way out someday. Carla moved just as fast on the unpaid contracts. 7 weeks, that's all it took. She sent out formal demands to every name in the ledger that still had a working address. Most ignored her at first. Then she hit Reynolds and Bloom with a public lien threat. Told them she'd report them to the state licensing board and labor authorities for dodging a signed invoice from a dying contractor. She copied it to their biggest commercial client and attached the ledger pages as exhibits. They folded in 4 days, paid the full $18,500. No apology, just a wire transfer and a confirm receipt email. Another 19 grand rolled in from smaller jobs, 2,000 here, 5,000 there. I hadn't even known half those names, but Dad kept it all. Every nail, every hour, every scam. Total payout $37,000. She told me we still had 5 more cases pending. I told her to go for it. Every dime counted now. While all that moved, I heard through a friend that Tanner's app had quietly tanked. Turns out he blew the ROLEX money on a rented office suite in Chandler, a branding package with a $6,000 logo, and one of those god-awful promo videos with stock footage and a fake British voiceover. No working prototype, no back-end, just a wireframe and a business card that said Chief Visionary Officer. The Instagram page went dead. The website started redirecting to a park domain. Nobody said it, but it was over. 2 months after I left, Gary called me. His number popped up while I was picking up paint at Lowe's. I let it ring twice, then answered. Cam, he said like we just talked yesterday. Listen, I was wondering if you could help us out with a quick bridge loan, just short term too. I hung up. Didn't even respond. A week later, I got an email from Mom. The subject line was, "We need to talk." I opened it. Nothing but a long paragraph blaming me for dividing the family, saying Tanner had been under pressure, that I'd made things worse by escalating everything with the cops. She ended it with, "You could have handled this quietly like family." I didn't type a word, just attached a copy of the police report with Tanner's name highlighted and hit send. Been silent ever since. No calls, no follow-ups, nothing. And that's fine by me. Let them chew on what they did. Let them sit in the mess they made. I was done paying for other people's dreams. The first thing I bought was a house. Not a big one. Single-story ranch, 2 bedrooms, decent bones, big garage, just 4 blocks from where Dad used to live. The guy who sold it to me said it needed vision. I said it just needed someone who knew how to use a level. I moved in on a Tuesday. Brought Dad's rolling toolbox with me. Parked it in the garage like it had always belonged there. Still had his socket set laid out. Everyone in the right slot. The 5.8S still had the faint outline of tape on it. I left it there. Didn't even wipe it clean. The Rolex stayed on my nightstand. Most nights I didn't wear it. Just kept it close. Sometimes I'd open that hidden panel again, unfold the note, reread the words just to be sure I didn't make it all up. You don't owe anyone your future. He meant it. I didn't go crazy with the money. No new car, no vacations. I fixed the roof, replaced the wiring, updated the kitchen. All stuff I did myself. I even donated a chunk to the local trade school where I'd learned the ropes. Told them it was from a guy who believed in second chances. Then I printed up some flyers, grabbed a burner phone, and started taking handyman jobs around the neighborhood. Toilets, drywall, ceiling fans, door repairs, small stuff. The kind of work Dad used to do between big gigs, honest labor, fair prices. People started calling, then texting, then referring me to friends. Steady work. Nothing flashy, but mine. Every once in a while, someone would spot the Rolex under my sleeve when I was reaching up to fix something and say, "Nice watch." I'd just smile. Old family thing. I didn't owe anyone explanations anymore. Dad didn't just leave me a watch. He left me time. Time to get out. Time to reset. Time to figure out what mattered and what didn't. And now I know exactly what to do with it. I won't waste it on people who think they're owed my life. The house is quiet most days, but it doesn't feel empty. Some mornings I'll be in the garage tightening bolts or sanding a door. And I'll swear I can hear his boots scuffing across the concrete behind me like he's checking the work. I wear the watch most days now, not for style, not to flex, but because I finally understand what it meant when he gave it to me. I've got time. And it's mine again. YouTube picked this for you. Tap it. Let's see if they guessed right.